people in the media like to hold Israel to a double standard, and we spin up crazy narratives about Israel that drives people to go crazy. And I think that double standard is the anti-Semitism. So, for example, like yesterday, there's a story coming out about how we have a Gaza humanitarian aid program that we're starting there, and allegedly 30 Palestinians were killed according to the Gaza Health Administration run by Hamas. And it turns out these numbers are likely completely made up, and people become fanatic as a result of this fake news and disinformation spread about Israel.
Yeah, but how is criticism of a government criticism of Jews?
I think it's the double standard held to Israel. People love to scream that Israel's committing genocide when it blatantly and obviously isn't, and will overlook other genocides that are happening simultaneously.
Yeah, but that could still just be an Israeli double standard, not a Jewish one.
I think the double standard exists because it's the Jewish state. There's so many people who apply the double standard uniquely to Israel because it is the Jewish state.
But there's not a lot of Americans that know the difference, though, right?
No.
Well, I mean, some of them do, but, you know, they know the difference between Israeli and actual Jewish people in America. I mean, you've talked about it on your show a couple of times in that aspect.
What do you mean?
So certain people don't understand that what's happening over there is not a microcosm of Jewish people in America, and they can't decipher between the two.
I'm just saying that on the news, I'm seeing them say this is an anti-Semitic attack, and I was like, wow, was this guy like targeting Jews specifically because they're Jews?
So as far as I know, I don't know exactly what he said, but as far as I know, he didn't specify Jews. He was saying Palestine. So
yeah.
I think pro-Palestine, not anti-Jew.
Well, I don't, like I said, I listened to some of the back and forth, and I didn't hear him clearly say anything specific about Jews. So
I just don't like this identity politics issue where it's like, when you bring up crime stats or whatever, they call you racist or something like this. And it's like, look, man, I'm just trying to figure out what the motivations for these things are. And I think the challenge is there are factions of the right and the left that literally just hate Jews. And they also hate Israel because it's a Jewish state. And so that's where a lot of this is anti-Semitic comes from, because the assumption is they must be one of those factions. But then there's anti-war, anti-interventionist, libertarian types, liberals or otherwise, who are like, or conservatives. We don't want to be involved in whatever Israel's involved in. We don't want to be paying for their bills. And I think it's not anti-Semitic to be critical of a government.
No. Like, people like antiwar.com, they really like ride that edge really, really well. And I think that Scott Horton, actually, even though this is going to give a lot hives, I think Scott Horton, makes it clear that he's not anti-Semitic, but he's probably...
I just call him an anti-Israel terrorist or a pro-Palestine or a pro-Gaza terrorist.
I don't think Scott Horton could string together a sentence that he doesn't shoehorn Israel into. So, I mean, that's really all I have to...
there are people who are obsessed with Israel, man, I'll tell you that.
He's got focus.
So I wanted to go full circle. The playbook that the Trump administration is applying here is great, and I think needs to be applied to more far left terrorists and Islamists that exist and continue to rear their heads in our country. And I think the administration will apply this to other people and use it more liberally moving forward. I don't want to turn this into a Jewish sob story, because people don't care to hear about Jewish sob stories at all. If Jews want to actually do something to fight back against these people, it's to arm themselves. Nobody cares to hear about, we were victims here, or Josh Shapiro is a victim, or outside of the embassy. Unfortunately, nobody gives a crap. You actually need to arm and defend yourselves, and that's when people will care.
I will say,
get the message.
Have we? I will ask this question: have we seen any Ukraine-Russia style attacks like this in any way?
No,
not really.
They've been keeping it in
where
Europe and Asia.
A pro-Russian person attacked some Ukrainian activists.
Nope.
You see Putin do some targeted...
No, I'm saying in the United States.
Oh, not
Have there
here.
been pro-Ukraine people peacefully marching, and then a Russia guy is like, Russia, and then attacks them or something?
Nope.
Oh.
Shocker.
It's like that for a lot of other conflicts, too.
Where there's no violence surrounding them?
Where's the Burmese? Where's the Sudanese? Where's the Somali?
Where are the Native Americans? Andrew Jackson's on the 20s.
Where's the peaceful cartel members trying to raise awareness for Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and other narco gangs being outraged over what Trump is doing to them?
It's only Palestine.
That is a joke, by the way. Yeah, it's only ever Israel-Palestine.
Yeah.
This is why when that Miss Rachel, she made that video where she's like, what's happening there? So I'm like, I can't stand these people. Look, I mentioned this last night. There are going to be people who are like, but she's right, Tim. It's a genocide, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care about that. You're allowed to have your issues. Scott Horton is allowed to have his opinions. He's allowed to solely focus on Israel if that's what he wants to do. I got no beef, none. What I can't stand is there are these people who found foreign policy for the first time in their lives. They have literally no idea what's going on in the world, and they're just gargling word vomit because they saw it on the internet. Dude, these people saw a trend in an algorithm, and now it became their whole world. And I'm like, find some depth in your life.
No, they're going to say no, Tim.
Yeah, I know.
Say no. That's what.
This is why I don't like
Jews
TikTok.
Want me to do.
And it's nothing to, it's funny because these people ask me about TikTok. They're like, you want to see TikTok banned, but the only reason that they're banning TikTok is because of Israel. And I'm like, correct. And they're like, you admit it? And I'm like, it's not a secret. Everyone knows they're doing it. It doesn't excuse China from manipulating the algorithms in this country to make people go nuts.
There are multiple things that the government is using anti-Semitism to justify that I would be in favor of, even without the phrase anti-Semitism being attached to it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.